Um, So we can start the next chapter, right? Which is the excretory products and elimination. Fine. See, before going into the details of different types of excretory products and how they are eliminated and all, first let us try to understand the difference between the very basic words excretion and the other term is egestion. What do you think is the difference? In egestion also, waste will be eliminated, right? What is the difference between these two? Come on, anyone? Okay, good. Egestion. Okay. Yes, ma, correct only. But strictly speaking, the difference is this here. In excretion, there will be elimination of metabolic waste. Right. In the case of egestion, it is elimination of undigested waste. See, for example, if you think about this digestive tract, let's say this is our GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. See, you have consumed cellulose and you have consumed starch. If these are present in the food that we have taken, as we know, starch will be digested to glucose in the digestive tract. Glucose will be taken into the blood. From there, it will go to the cell, where, for example, glucose is oxidized to carbon dioxide. That's what the respiration is all about, right? So, elimination of this CO2 is, what do you call this one? Excretion. Elimination of the CO2 is excretion is. What about the cellulose? Cellulose will not be digested at all. This is undigested waste. This undigested waste will be eliminated as such. This is what the digestion is. Whatever that ingested food is there, if not digested, that undigested food is eliminated through digestion process. Is everyone clear? Uh, Sir, actually, the screen is completely frozen, sir. Shivshankar, sir. స్క్రీన్ ఫ్రీజ్ అయిపోయింది మీది లైక్ సిగ్నల్ ఏమైనా లో ఉందా ఫ్రీజ్ అయిపోయింది అక్కడ వస్తుంది మీకు మీకు వస్తుంది యాక్చువల్గా సిగ్నల్ సరిగ్గా లేకపోతే నాకు ఫ్రీజ్ అవుతా ఉంటది ఓకే ఇప్పుడు పర్లేదు మళ్ళీ వెయిట్ is everyone clear the fundamental difference between these two? Excretion is elimination of any metabolic waste. So the waste which is generated in our metabolism, that can be CO2, right? That can be water, that can be ions, that can be anything. Right. Now, so in this chapter, our main focus will be on nitrogenous waste. Basically, excretion is about elimination of any metabolic waste. Elimination of CO2 is excretion only. Elimination of water is excretion only. Elimination of any ions is also excretion only. But here we'll be focusing on nitrogenous waste. So as we know, there are three important nitrogenous wastes. One is ammonia, urea, uric acid. These are the three important nitrogenous wastes. Mind this, just to understand these things little better, we'll just see what exactly this ammonia is. Now listen once, there is a concept behind it. I don't know whether you have studied it or not. Now see, as we know, ammonium is actually this. I am just writing the ionic form. Urea is this one is the urea is. So basically from ammonia only urea is produced. Understood. For example, if you take our case, what is the main nitrogenous waste that we excrete? Urea. So in case of human, urea is what the important nitrogenous waste is. In the form of urea, we are actually excreting this thing. So we are actually ureotelic. Yes or no? So why ammonia is one kind of waste is converted into urea, another kind of waste, uh, by spending energy. If you just think about it, I'll just repeat. What actually happens here is, uh, in case of human, we are ureotelic. We are ureotelic animals because we are excreting mainly urea. What actually happens here in cells? I mean, all cells. You take any cell, ammonium is produced. Now, where this ammonium is produced means there are many nitrogen compounds that we are actually metabolizing. That can be proteins, that can be nucleic acids, any of this. All this ammonia from various cells will be carried to liver. Right. In the liver, there is a cycle called urea cycle, also called ornithine cycle. In this cycle, in this cycle, two carbon dioxides and sorry, one carbon dioxide, one carbon dioxide, two ammonias will be converted to one urea. Now that's why I've just given the structure of urea, though you don't have to learn this thing. Two nitrogens, you can see, one carbon you can see. This CO is actually from CO2. This one is from ammonium. This one is also from the ammonium. So these two ammonias and one carbon dioxide will be converted into one urea molecule in the liver. Understood? So basically what is happening in our body is like you just take any organism, listen properly, very important concept. In any organism, whether it is ureotelic, whether it is uricotelic, ammonotelic, cells will produce ammonia only. In the metabolism, ammonia is what the nitrogenous waste produced. But whether this ammonia is excreted as such or converted into urea or converted into uric acid. But depending on that, we have different types of animals. I mean, different types of excretions. But what is common is producing ammonia. In our case, what is happening is this ammonia is converted into urea. Is everyone clear up to this? Asif, Tarun? Now, the question is, urea is a waste. Ammonium is also waste. Right? And keep in mind in this urea cycle, I am not giving the detailed cycle, but in this cycle, energy consumed. So we are spending energy to convert carbon dioxide and ammonia, or simply ammonia to urea. So why we are converting one type of waste into another type of waste? Anyhow, it has to be eliminated, right? Yes, ma, please. Mm, mm. Excellent. Right. So what type of nitrogenous waste is released will actually depend on the habitat. Always keep in mind what type of nitrogenous waste is produced by the organism will depend on its habitat, right? We'll see which habitat is what, but out of these three, if you just see the uh, toxicity, toxicity of all these three different nitrogenous waste, which one is the most toxic? Least, least toxic. So ammonia greater than urea greater than uric acid. This is the order of toxicity is. Right. Next, if you take the amount of water consumed, Hmm. What is the order? Same order. So it is ammonia, urea, uric acid. So basically, ammonia requires large amount of water to be to get eliminated, right? So there is no surprise that aquatic organisms, it is ammonia, because they are able to afford water. That's why they'll be utilizing, means they'll be eliminating nitrogen as nitrogenous, so this ammonia, right? When it comes to terrestrial organisms, it is either urea or uric acid. It again depends on how much amount of water they can spend. For example, human or mammals, you can see it is urea. But in the case of birds, you can see uric acid. Reptiles, you can see uric acid. Like this, different taxa have different types of ways. Right. Um, is there any aquatic organism in which urea is the excretory waste that you have studied? Shark. What do you think is the reason? Shark is aquatic, right? Then why urea? What? Can you please repeat? No, that's fine. My question is shark. Did you say frog or shark? No, no. Even in frog, tadpole is ammonia only, no, which is aquatic. No, my question is, organism is urea is the excretory product. A shark is actually ureotelic. Okay, copy this thing. Okay, so why shark is actually ureophilic, you will understand in the later part of the chapter. Urea has some other role to play apart from nitrogenous waste. The next one, excretory organs. Excretory organs. Naturally, is studying these things. So flame cells. Cells. We can see platy right. So, it's not uh, sir. I think it should be fine now. You just write the list of excretory organs in different animals. Protonephridia are flame cells. In platyhelminthes, rotifers, some annelids, and then Amphioxus. Amphioxus is actually cephalocordate. If you already know this group, it's okay. Otherwise, we'll repeat this once again in the animal kingdom. So don't worry. Right. Now this protonephridia, uh, the primary function of this is osmoregulation. Primary function is osmoregulation. The next one, nephridia. In earthworm, you're going to see this nephridia only, and some other annelids also will have this. Next, very, very important one, Malpighian tubules. This you can see in Arthropoda. Arthropoda, particularly insects. Right, and these Malpighian tubules of osmoregulation and excretion. Both functions will be performed by Malpighian tubules. Next, green glands or antennal glands. This you can see in the crustaceans. Crustacea. Now, crustacea, for example, prawns. These are also arthropods only, but in arthropoda, only crustacea is one group. In this, you can see green glands or antennal glands. Next, kidneys. Where in the case of vertebrate. Again, the function of kidneys will be both excretion and osmoregulation. All this is from the animal kingdom only, which we'll be repeating there. Right, ma. So this is about the excretory organs in various animals. In this, our focus will be on human excretory system. So just write human excretory system. Right, ma. That includes pair of kidneys. Right, pair of ureters connected to that. There will be one urinary bladder, right, that open into urethra. These are all the different components. You just leave some space where draw that figure. Human urinary system figure is there, no? That you just draw. Labeling based questions will come on this. So practice that figure given in the book. That figure, first figure. Right. In this, our focus will be on the kidney. And this, the first thing is when you see the measurement of this thing, length of each kidney is 10 to 12 centimeters, 10 to 12 centimeters. Width, width is 5 to 7 centimeters. When it comes to thickness, it is 2 to 3 centimeters. Correct. 2 to 3 centimeters. Now, see, just to remember, I'm giving you because there are many numbers to remember in 11th and 12th, right? Now, just to remember, 2 double this, nearly 5, 5 double this, 10. Okay, so 2, 5, 10. 2 to 3, thickness, 5 to 7, width, length is 10 to 12. Just to remember easily. Next, weight. Now, coming to the weight of each kidney, it will be some 120 to 170 grams. Next, position. Locomotion part, if you already remember this, there are 12 thoracic vertebrae in our vertebral column. Totally 12 thoracic vertebrae are there. So the position of kidney with respect to the vertebral column, if you see, the last, now this one is the last thoracic vertebra. Now see, these are the things which you need not to learn separately. Because once you learn the vertebral column, this part will be very easy. So thoracic vertebra to third lumbar vertebra. Okay, that's the position of the kidneys. Other details you just see, it is reddish brown in color, bean shaped, all these things you already know. But the important things which you have to learn are this. Right. Next, I mean the position itself you can just write. It is retroperitoneal. Kidney is, I mean, both the kidneys are retroperitoneal. I'll tell what exactly. Okay. Now see, basically this is just additional point I've included in the abdominal cavity. In our abdominal cavity, this is the dorsal side of our body. This is the ventral side of our body. There is a cavity called peritoneal cavity. All the visceral organs are present inside this peritoneal cavity only, but the kidneys are actually present behind this, attached to the dorsal wall. That's why we call this one retroperitoneal. Behind our back side of the peritoneum is what it is. That's why retroperitoneal. Every visceral organ is present in the peritoneal cavity only. Kidneys are present behind that, is what it is. Right. Next, each kidney, if you see, on one side it will be having the concave shape. Right. This is the part through which it is connected to blood vessels. Now see, kidneys will be having the connection with the blood vessels. It will be having the connection with the nerves, limb system. Right. So anything that is connected to the kidney, that can be artery, that can be vein which is connected, all these enter and leave through this concave part only. This concave part is what we call hilum. Hilum. Hilum is the part at which kidney is connected to everything, that can be artery, vein, nerve, anything that is connected through hilum only. So it is that concave part. Right. Next. On the surface of the kidney, the whole kidney is actually covered with one fibrous connective tissue which actually protects the kidney. This is what we call renal capsule. Renal capsule. It is basically a protective sheath surrounding the kidneys. Right. Now coming to little more details of this kidney, I just write anatomy. So far, whatever we have seen is the external feature of the kidney only. But if you see little details, the inner structures of the kidney, how it look like, is what this discussion is. Right. Now open textbook and draw this figure now only, everyone. Second figure. Draw it neatly. are actually noun things only, but one important thing we need to understand here is, see, the outer part is obviously called the cortex. In any organ, outer part is what we call cortex, inner part is what we call medulla. You know this thing, right? Outer part is cortex, inner part is medulla in any kind of thing, right? It is applicable for the root and stem also. In anatomy, you'll use the same terms, right? But only thing is here, the medulla is not a normal structure. Instead, it is having the pyramidal structures. Now, this medulla is present in the pyramid form. These are what we called this medullary pyramids. Okay, this is basically medulla only. But because it is in the pyramid form, it is medullary pyramid. So, outer cortex, inner medulla. Next, if you see the cortex part, must see this, all this is the cortex part is, which is extended between the medulla. Understood, right? A cortex is extending between the medulla. This is what we call, this part is what we call renal column. Renal column. Also called column of Bettini. After the scientist named Bettini, this is also called the column of Bettini. But what is exactly that part is? It is the extension of the cortex between medulla. Clear? Still drawing. Okay, finish it first. Let me know once finished. Once finished drawing. Okay. So what I was talking about is this, the outer part, this part, all this is the cortex is the cortex only extending between the medullary pyramids. Okay. So this is also cortex only. It is basically the extension of the cortex between the medullary pyramids. That's why you need to be clear with this part. This is what we call the renal column, also called the column of Bertini. Okay. Next, each medullary pyramid, look here, each medullary pyramid, it is opening into one tubular structure. Uh, See this. I'm just highlighting in the red. This is the tubular structure into which medullary pyramid is actually opening. Only see this branch, this one, right? This one. But this is what we call minor calyx. All these are calyxes only. Each branch is uh, calyx only, but the smaller one is what we call the minor calyx. Now, if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, four minor calyxes join to form one major calyx. I'll give a different color. Uh, See this green colored part, this part. Now, please tell me if you don't understand. Four smaller, each medullary pyramid is opening into one minor calyx. Four minor calyxes is joined to form the major calyx. This is what we call the major calyx. Okay. The same way on the other side also you can see the same, right? Here three minor calyxes joined to form the major calyx. This is the major calyxes. This major calyx and this major calyx both are opening into one common path, one common passage. I'm just highlighting this in this color. See this. What do you call this one? Renal pelvis. So you can just write like this. Medullary pyramid plural if I write medullary pyramids, minor calyces. Plural is calyces. Calyx is a singular, calyces. Next, major CALYM, sorry. Major calyces. Major calyces will join to form the renal pelvis. Renal pelvis. This larger chamber is what we call the renal pelvis. Renal pelvis will open into ureter. Now this part you need to be very clear. Just let me know if you don't understand any. Each renal pyramid is opening into a smaller calyx, minor calyx. Minor calyxes are joined to form the major calyx. Major calyxes is joined to form or are opening into renal pelvis. Renal pelvis is opening into ureter. Is how the arrangement is. Are done? Okay. Tarun, clear, right? All these structures, labeling based questions will come, Tarun. Practice this thing well. These lines are not labeled, but they are like you can say nephrons. Nephrons arrangement will be this only. We are going to discuss that. There you will understand what this arrangement is. So that is about the anatomy of the kidneys. Next, each kidney, if you take each kidney, there are some 1 million nephrons. So it's like two kidneys together, around 2 million nephrons are there in our body. These nephrons are actually considered as the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Right? At least we can say functional units because structure other components are there. So these are the important units which are related to the function of the kidney. Okay, so we'll just see how this nephron arrangement will be and how exactly it functions and all we'll discuss later. So coming to the arrangement of this, just listen. I'll be just giving the simple diagram to understand. Later we'll see the NCRT figure. See, each nephron consists of two different components. There are two different parts in each nephron. Right. One is glomerulus. Glomerulus. The other one is renal tubule. These are the two different parts of. Here we'll see first this renal tubule part, exactly how this renal tubule is, and then we'll see how the glomerulus is. Now, renal tubule means kidney, tubule is tubular structure. That's why the name renal tubule is. Coming to different parts of this renal tubule, the first component of the renal tubule, there is a capsular structure called the Bowman's capsule. I label it, which will open into one convoluted tubule. Right. This convoluted tubule will form a loop actually. Again, there is one more convoluted tubule, which will open into one duct. Now we'll see what this thing is. So, Here, what is important to understand is here, first let us see the different components. Now, the first part of the nephron is one capsule-like structure. This is what we call Bowman's capsule. It's a capsule-like structure, which will open into a part called proximal convoluted tubule. Now, let us try to understand the term first so that there is nothing in this. First, when we say proximal, what is meant by proximal? Near, right? Near or close to. See, when we are talking about the convoluted tubule, and what is meant by convoluted? Coiled. Now, if something is highly coiled, technical term is convoluted. Right, convoluted tubule because it is highly coiled. Tarun, following. Now, this part is highly convoluted. That's why the name convoluted tubule. Proximal because, see, this is also convoluted tubule. This is also convoluted tubule. There are two convoluted tubules. Because it is present close to the Bowman's capsule, we call it proximal. This one is present away from it, right? That's why we call this one distal. So distal means away from. So with respect to Bowman's capsule, the first convoluted tubule is towards it, the other one is present away from it. Even in our hand also, do you know these terms? Which part is called what in our hand? Which one is proximal part, which one is distal part? The one which is attached to the body is what we call the proximal end of our hand. This is the proximal end of your hand. This one is actually distal end is. Okay, so we use these terms very often with respect to the locations actually. So whenever we say proximal, close to, distal is away from. So that's why we are using these terms. Proximal convoluted tubule, the other one is distal convoluted tubule, coiled structures basically. Right, in between there is a loop. We can clearly see that it is a loop. This is what we call Henle's loop. Henle is scientist name. After the name, Henle's loop. The whole loop is Henle's loop is. In this part is descending one is, whereas this one is what we call ascending one. Because once the ultrafiltrate is produced, ultrafiltrate will move down in this, will be moving up in this. So this is a descending, this one is the ascending limbus. Understood? Limb, basically descending limb, this one is ascending limb. So descending limb of loop of Henle, ascending limb of loop of Henle is what the name is. And finally, this one is the collecting duct is. Okay, and what is important to understand here is the location of these things. Now, the line which I have drawn here, this one is the part above it is the cortex is, this is the medulla is. Must see this. This line, above this cortex, below this it is medulla. Which means Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, all these are present in the cortex part. Right, it is the only Henle's loop that actually enter into the medulla part. Understood? This is how the positioning of the nephron inside the kidney will be, in the cortex and medulla will be. Now, apart from this, blood vessels. Blood will be carried to this Bowman's capsule part where it will be forming capillaries. Okay, this part is what we call the glomerulus. This we'll see once again in detail, but are we clear about the nomenclature, different names of this part? Okay, so we just learn up to this. In the next class, we'll continue our discussion. Little details related to the nephron. And there are few more details about this, which we'll see. And then we'll move to the actual part, that is how it is involved in the urine formation. Right. Before coming to the next class, you just study about osmolarity. Osmolarity. And how this osmolarity is related to osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure. Right. And how this osmotic pressure is related to water retention capacity. So if I have a solution, now what is the relationship between its osmotic pressure and how this is related to water retention capability is what you need to find out, because the whole discussion of urine formation is going to depend on this. If you can't understand this, you can't understand that concept. Okay, so we'll stop here. So just prepare up to this. We'll continue our discussion in the next class, right? Bye, everyone. Sir, okay, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. On this body fluids, right? That is ready, sir. I'll send. Hmm. Right, sir. Okay.